Okay, quadratic functions. We're going to talk about standard form and vertex form of a quadratic equation. Linear equations have three forms. Do you guys remember the three forms for linear? Y-intercept form. Do you guys remember y-intercept form? Then there was standard form also, the ax plus by equals c. And then that third one was that y minus y1 equals m, x minus x1. In quadratic functions, there are two forms. Standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c, and vertex form is ax minus h squared plus k. This moves the parabola side to side, and this moves it up and down. We did this on Monday also, right? Remember translations on Monday? And this lets you know if the parabola is going to get wider or skinnier. You guys remember that? Wider or skinnier. Quadratic functions, I didn't say that, but now I just said it, makes parabolas. Okay, and that's all for this page, really. You just need to know what standard form is and vertex form. Oh, one more thing. A parabola always has the vertex, and the vertex is at h comma k, which would make sense, right? It would be at h comma k, the vertex. It's easier to graph in vertex form, but the standard form is also good because that way you can factor, correct? You know what I'm talking about, factor, two sets of parentheses. This is better for factoring. This is good for factoring. And the vertex form is good for graphing. Maybe this will be another aha moment. If you set the standard form equal to 0 and you factor, you're going to get two answers, right? Maybe you don't know this, but the reason why you factor is the two answers that you get when you factor, that's where it crosses the x-axis at. That's what that means when you find the two answers. If you find the two answers as 2 and a negative 4, that's where it crosses the x-axis at, and that's why that's important. Okay, next page. So, they give you the vertex, put it into vertex equation form. So I'm just going to write the vertex equation form up here again. Y equals a parentheses x minus h squared plus k. That's called vertex form. And all we're going to do, it should be pretty easy. We're just going to substitute it in. And I'll tell you something about the a in a second. We're going to leave the a right now because we don't know what to do with the a until the end of this section. So leave the a. This stands for h, this stands for k. So you're going to put x minus 4 to the second power. And you're going to move it down 2. So you're going to put a negative 2. So that would be vertex form of a quadratic equation. Remember, negative really means a positive 4, and that means negative 2. One more. Y equals a parentheses. Don't forget your little square on top. The x or the vertex starts out with a negative 2, so x minus a negative 2 ends up being x plus 2. And the y value or the k value means the same thing. It doesn't move up or down, it just stays there. You could put the plus 0 at the end. You do not need the plus 0 at the end. Any questions on part 1? Putting it into vertex form. Moving along. Okay, go from standard form to vertex form. We're going to go from standard form to vertex form. So, there are two ways you can do this. I'm going to show you both ways. You tell me which way is quicker or faster, whichever way you want to do this. I'm going to show you how to go from standard form to vertex form by completing the square. How many times have we seen completing of the square now? This is the third time. First time was in chapter 2. Second time was circles. You guys remember the circles? Third time is a parabola. So I'm just going to set f of x is equal to what? Y, correct? Y equals x squared minus 6x plus 9. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the 11. I'm going to subtract that to both sides. I'm going to complete the square. So it's y minus 11 equals x squared minus 6x. So far so good. Subtracted 11 to both sides. I'm going to complete the square on the right hand side. I take half of a negative 6, which is a negative 3. I square that, which makes a positive 9. Whatever you do to that side, you got to remember to make sure you do it to that side. And you're going to get y minus 2 on this side equals. What I mean by completing of the square is I made a perfect binomial square. That's what it means, completing of the square. Some of you don't understand that. I made a binomial square, and it's going to end up being x minus 3 squared. Is it in vertex form now? The only thing is, I need to bring y equals x minus 3 raised to the second plus 2. Y equals x minus 3 to the second plus 2. Go from standard form to vertex form. Did I go from standard form to vertex form? Yep. This is standard. This is vertex. Do I know what my vertex looks like on my parabola? Yes. My vertex is at a positive 3 and a positive 2. It's really easy to graph it now by putting it into vertex form. Okay, here's a second way, and you're going to say, why did I show you the first way? Because the second way is probably faster. I just don't know what you're going to remember for the ACTs. And maybe you'll remember completing of the square, maybe you won't. Here's the second way to figure out how to put this into vertex form. I don't know if you remember this from Algebra 2, but there was a formula to find the h value of the vertex. The h value is, maybe this will ring a bell, a negative b over 2a. You guys remember a negative b over 2a from Algebra 2 last year? So, all you do is, here's the original problem, the x squared minus the 6x plus 11. Isn't the a value 1? Isn't the b value negative 6? And isn't the c value 11? So, isn't a negative b, this is a negative b, isn't that going to make it a positive 6 up there? Do we understand what I'm doing? A positive 6 over 2 times a, the a value is 1. What's 6 divided by 2? 3. Isn't that what we got for this down here is the 3? And then how do you think you're going to get this value? What do you think you have to do? Don't you have to plug the 3 back into here to find the, so that's 9. 9. So I'm going to plug 3 into the equation to get the y value. And so that's going to give you a 9 minus 18 plus 11. 9 minus 18 is a negative 9. A negative 9 plus 11 is a what? A positive 2. You're not done though. This is the vertex, 3 comma 2. Just like over here, 3 comma 2, but guess what? You have to write it back into what form? Vertex form. So now you have to say y equals x minus 3 raised to the second plus 2. Which way do you guys like? I don't know which way you guys like. Which way do you guys like better? The completing of the square or the negative b over 2a? You like negative b over 2a? She likes completing of the square? You can do whatever way you want to. It's up to you. So, it's up to you. I personally kind of like the negative b over 2a. But it doesn't matter, whichever way. I like showing you 2 different ways. So, okay. F of x equals 5x squared plus 20x plus 17. So, I don't know which way to show you now, because I want to do it one more time. This is in what form? This is in standard form. And what form do we want to put it into? Vertex form. So now I don't know which way I should show you. I'm just going to do a negative b over 2a. So, isn't a negative b a negative 20? Isn't a negative b a negative 20? Isn't a going to be 10? So isn't the value a negative 2? Isn't the vertex, the beginning of the vertex, a negative 2? And then how do you get the second half of the vertex? You put a negative 2 back up into there, and 5 times a negative 2 squared is 4, plus 20 times a negative 2, plus 17. 20, take away 40, plus 17. 20 take away 40 is a negative 20, correct? A negative 20 plus 17 is a negative 3. So, y equals x plus 2 squared minus 3. X plus 2 squared minus 3. So far, so good. Everybody see how we got the x plus 2 squared minus 3? But there's always a what out in front of the parentheses. Isn't this the a? And this is really easy. You just have to remember what I'm going to tell you right now. But isn't the a value already given to you? Isn't it 5? So all you have to do is take that 5 and put it where? Out in front of there. And you got yourself your parabola. And I just wanted to show you how to graph it because it's been a while since it hasn't been a while, since Monday since you graphed it. You don't have to do this. I'm just going to show you. You could sit and watch me do this if you want. Isn't the vertex of the parabola at a negative 2, negative 3? So go down 2 and down 3. This is my vertex of my parabola. Down 2, down 3. My parabola is facing up because this is a positive value. And since this number is greater than 1, it's going to be what? Skinny, correct? Not wide. It's going to be skinny. I don't know how skinny, but that's what it would look like if we graphed it. Again, standard form is not the best way to graph it. Putting it into vertex form is the right way to graph a parabola, and that's why you need to know what vertex form is, so you can graph it quicker. How else would you have to do this? If you didn't put this into vertex form, you would have to make a XY chart and just start plotting points. That's the only way else you could graph this, correct? So, any questions on standard form to vertex form? I think in the next section, do we go the other way? No, we don't go the other way. Okay, so, part 3, they want you to find the zeros. They want you to tell me if there's a max or a min in the problem, and they want you to sketch this parabola. So, they want you to find the zeros, and what I just talked about at the beginning, what are the zeros? The zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. That's going to give you a more precise graph. What's the max or the min? Basically, that's the vertex, the max or the min. And sketch the graph. So, ready to go? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the zeros. Where does it cross the x-axis at? How do you find the zeros? Again, don't write this down. I'm just telling you that every point on the x-axis, this point right here is 1, 0. This point right here is 3, 0. This point right here is a negative 2, 0. If it collides or connects with the x-axis, what needs to be true? Your y needs to always be what? 0. And doesn't this stand for y? So you're going to make a big fat 0 right here, and you're back to factoring, like we did, I think, in chapter 1. You set your y equal to 0 so you can figure out where it crosses the x-axis. It's going to cross the x-axis in 2 spots because it's a square. I'm going to take the GCF out, which is a negative x. If you take the negative x out, you're going to have x plus 6, correct? X plus 6. I know I did it right. I can just do the distributive property. I know I did it right. You set that one equal to 0 and that one equal to 0. It's going to cross the x-axis at 0 and a negative 6. And that was why you learned how to factor. Where does it cross the x-axis at? We're to go on part A. This is A. You set your quadratic function equal to 0 and factor it. Part B. You need to decide if there's a max or a min, and how do you find the max or the min? You're finding the what? The vertex. I like doing the negative b over 2a now because it's quicker, because completing of the square takes a little bit longer. Negative b. A is negative 1, b is negative 6, you have no c value. So a negative b is a positive 6 over a negative 2, because a is a negative 1. So negative 3. Negative 3 is your vertex. And then you need to plug a negative 3 back in here, and this is a good one to do because you have a negative sign with a square, so we better do this. You have a negative, parentheses, a negative 3 squared minus 6 times a negative 3. You have a negative with a negative 3 squared minus a negative 6 times a negative 3. You do your powers first. You don't do the negative of the negative and make it a positive. You always do powers first. This makes a positive 9, which really makes it a negative 9, plus 18, which gives you a positive 9 for your vertex. So, what's my vertex? Negative 3, positive 9. Negative 3, positive 9. And then C, they want you to put it all together and graph it. Put it all together and graph it. You're going to go negative 3, positive 9. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About right there. I'm going to get rid of my C because it's going to be in my way. At negative 3, positive 9 is my vertex. My parabola crosses at 0, negative 6. 0, negative 6. And 3 dots is all you need to make the parabola. It's way more precise when you know where it crosses the x-axis, isn't it? You know exactly how wide to make the parabola now, right? You know exactly how wide to make the parabola. Last question of this problem. Does the vertex, is that a max or a min? Max. And I just go back up here at B and tell me that there is a max, because you know that if it's a negative x squared, it should be facing down, correct? And it was facing down. So, what else was I going to say? Oh, one other thing. Most of you probably already know this, but I'll tell you anyway. If this is the vertex, which is a negative 3, isn't there, well, look at my idea. This should split your parabola in half, the vertex, right? And where it crosses the x-axis should also be split. If this is a negative 3, 0, negative 6, does that make sense? That one would be at 0 and the other side would be at negative 6. Just a reminder you're doing it right. So, okay, I don't know what we have left. We have, I think we got one more to do like that. We'll go a little faster on this one. We'll go a little faster. The A part, the B part, and the C part. Like I said, tomorrow you have a work day. Some of you won't be here. Most of you won't be here. So, okay. A, you need to know where it crosses the x-axis at. How do you know where it crosses the x-axis at? You set your y equal to 0 and you sum. Okay, I did this one because that's a negative 4. Sometimes I don't like dealing with the a value negative. I'm going to multiply everything by negative 1, and then I don't have to deal with it being negative. You don't have to, I just did it. So. Is there a GCF in this problem? Is there a GCF? No. We should be able to just factor this, I hope. They're not going to give you one, I don't think, today where you can't factor it. The only way to solve it then is probably the quadratic formula. They're not going to do that to you today. You're going to be able to factor them. Minus 1. Oh, I copied this. Minus 1. I think I copied it wrong now that I'm looking at it, because This is 4x squared, this makes a negative 2x, this makes a negative 2x. Everybody see that? But what needs to be here? Positive 1, so this should have been a positive 1, which makes this a what up here? A negative. Which makes this up here, sorry about that, a negative. Just a small little error. Let me see if I did that right. That's positive, that needs to be negative, and that needs to be positive. So there's a little error in one right here. So it's, everybody got that? So when you set this one equal to 0 and you set this one equal to 0, you're going to get the same answer, and you're going to get positive 1/2. Everybody see that it's positive 1/2. It crosses the x-axis only in one spot at 1/2, and you're going to find out something in 2 seconds. B, this helps you find the vertex in B. And how do you find the vertex? I'm going to write it down, negative b over 2a. A negative b, I'm just going to go and use this one, it doesn't matter. A negative b is a negative 4 over a positive 2 times a negative 4 is a negative 8. And a negative 4 over a negative 8 also makes what? 1/2, right? You're going to find out in a minute that these two are exactly the same thing. How do you find the rest of the vertex? Just speeding this up. All you do is you plug this back up into the equation, correct? And you get 0. Imagine that, right? Why would you get 0? Because you'll find out. See? You graph it. It says the vertex is at 1/2, 0, which is right there. It says it crosses the x-axis at 1/2. Are we right? Yep. There's no other points to help us graph this, so now we kind of have to go back up and look. The a is negative, so which way is it facing, up or down? Down. Yeah. And how wide do we make it? We don't know how wide we should make it. That's all we can. And is this a max or a min, the vertex? Max, correct? And over here, go back up here and put max. I didn't do a min, I don't know why. I forgot. I guess I should have made a min one, but you get what a min looks like. Okay, last part of the assignment, right? Last part. Everybody ready to go? Am I going too fast? Are you guys catching on to all this? Are you doing good? Wait till they listen to this. Okay. You're asking us a question. Can't answer that. Okay, here we go. Last problem of the day. Given the graph, find the equation in vertex form. Given the graph, find an equation in vertex form. Do you guys have docs yet, or do you have anything? Do you have the graph actually put in there? Okay, so you have what I have. So 0, 0, 4, 0, 2, 4, and that's what it looks like. Why did I do that for you guys? I didn't actually do that, did I? So weird. Anyway, okay. You're given the graph, you have to find the equation in vertex form. So here's this wonderful new vertex form that we learned at the beginning of this section, which is perfect to end with the vertex form. So basically, you need to fill the A in. You need to find the vertex. You can't fill the X, you can't fill this in, and you can't fill this in, and that's why it's called an equation, right? It needs some unknown. So, do we know what the vertex is? 2, 4, isn't it easy? What is, yeah, this is 2, 4. So where does that go? That specifically needs to go in for the H and the K. It's not X, Y anymore, it's specifically H and K. So, but now, if I fill that in, I'm still missing my what value? My A value, right? Which tells you skinnier or wider, right? So, you need to either pick this point or this point, either this point or this point to plug in for your X and Y, so that the only letter that's left is the letter A. So, it doesn't matter, I'm going to pick 4, 0. So, the first point you picked is the vertex, that has to be HK. The second point you picked is the other XY. So here we go. In place of Y, I'm going to put 0. A is what we're trying to find. Okay, kind of go slow here. The x that we use cannot be this because that's standing for the h. We need to use the 4 for the x minus. Now we can use the h, which stands for 2, which stands for the vertex, squared plus the k is the 4. If I were you, I'd label it HKXY so you don't get those mixed up. This specifically has to be the H and K. So then, again, order of operations, you could get this wrong if you don't do the order of operation. You have to do parentheses first, which is a 2 squared makes this a 4 plus the 4. Again, 4 minus 2 is 2 squared, you get 4. Don't do this. I hope you don't put the 4 plus the 4 together to make 8, because this is 4 times a, and to get a alone, you subtract 4 to both sides. And a ends up being a -1. Should it be a negative value? Is the parabola facing upside down? Yes. A should be negative. You're doing something wrong if it's positive. Easy way to check it. But what does the section tell you to do? Find an what? Equation. So you ready to write the equation now that we found the a value? Last thing we do, final part, y equals, final answer. We found the a finally. It's a -1. Parentheses, squared. You need an x in the problem. We have to use the h, and the h was 2 plus 4. Final answer. Final answer.